Time to smell some sexy liquid gold. Imagine somebody telling you that a wood chip is almost 2 times the price of gold.
Shut the f up, bitch.
Depending on its rarity, how it's cultivated, like oud is wild expensive when it's real deal Holyfield. It's insane, fam, it's wood. Like, I come from a neighborhood where dudes are slinging a different product on the corner trying to make a couple of bucks. Imagine me with a bag of oud and dudes just looking at me wild crazy. Imagine dude walking around, yo, I got that Cambodian, I got that Laotian kid. What?
You just like me for my
wood.
Yeah, I will admit it.
But sexy oud fragrances are something that's kind of like an oxymoron. Like, oud is a little bit crazy, smells a little wild, smells like dirty butthole at sometimes, so not many people can find the oud fragrance that they can rock with. So I'm gonna put you on to 10 sexy oud fragrances that I personally enjoy that you might want to potentially sample if you're trying to get your foot into the oud door. Let's roll my fucking music so I can put you on to 10 sexy oud fragrances that Uncle Cuba absolutely loves.
We're all alone in the villa, we're really, yeah, there's some friends from the south side, in case you cared. Out of all your friends, I wanna be
Blessing morning, my beautiful peoples. You know who it is. It's your boy, 𝐶 to the U to the B to the A. Oud fragrances and sexy. I mean, it's tough, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This is kind of a difficult process. I was going through a lot of fragrances, really selecting my type of vibe and energy. Some of these fragrances I haven't tapped into in a while, because most of these oud fragrances are literally for like 2 seasons, a little bit of fall, but only winter. And other than this honorable mention, which I'm gonna put out first, they're all super rich, very potent, very dense, and some of them are a little risky, but the combination and supporting notes in these fragrances really make them sexy off of my skin. Now granted, fragrance is OD subjective. There's a ton of people that don't rock with oud. There's also a lot of people that don't know what the hell oud is and don't really care. They just want something that performs very well, smells sexy, gets compliments, and separates them from everybody else. And oud is a note that absolutely has that quality, not to mention that the majority of ouds have awesome performance, which some people strive for. So for those who watch my channel know what fresh honorable mention of oud I'm gonna hit. That's the Perfect Oud, baby. 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝑒's Perfect Oud is the versatile oud, the most versatile one in this entire collection, because this is one that you can wear in colder weather, but actually is catered more to hot. Oud and hot weather don't necessarily go hand in hand in the western part of the world. Now in the Middle East, that shit is a Tuesday. But so is like riding camels and sand and desert and shit. I don't know nothing about that. Only sand I know is Orchard Beach and Jones. And that's followed by a tetanus shot, a couple of hypodermic needles on the floor, and a case of herpes that's uncurable. And you don't even touch anybody.
I think the beaches are topless, so we're gonna spend a lot of time at the beach.
So if you're looking for a fresh interpretation of a perfect oud, 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝑒's Perfect Oud is it. Let's get to the list. First one I'm gonna start off with, I mentioned in a few videos already. I've been waiting for this oud forever, bagged it up on a Black Friday deal, and had to get a little Sahra Oud action by Fragrance Du Bois, aka a little bit goes a hell of a long way. I think what saves Sahra Oud from being a little bit too complicated for the masses is like that sharp grapefruit citrusy note that kind of lives throughout the body of this fragrance, because it's potente. It's oudy, it's spicy, it's patchouli-ish, but it's very sexy off my skin and has performance for years. This is a fragrance that I like to advise to proceed with caution. Do not spray this on your clothes, because Jesus himself, along with Clorox, Febreze, Tide, and Dawn, can't wash this shit out of clothing fibers.
Jesus, take the wheel. Got it!
Gonna be damn near impossible. This is kind of like a 2-sprayer for me. I do one good atomizer, and let it just do its thing. It has a little bit of a funk, but for me, that funk gives it character. It doesn't put it off like I'm gonna smell like complete dog shit. Unless I didn't wash my ass, then we got a problem.
Out!
But this is absolutely one of my favorite ouds, one I've been waiting for a significant amount of time, because there's no way in hell I was gonna pay retail for this joint. But if you have the opportunity to sample it and you're looking to get into the oud space, this is some big boy shit for me. Next one. Possibly one of the least complicated ouds here, but sometimes simplicity goes a long way. The Oud Pashmina by Montal just seems to have a lot of personality in this fragrance. Like, it's so kind of linear and basic on the breakdown, but what it does on the skin, at least on my skin, it's it's almost perfect. It's a very lighter interpretation of a rose oud fragrance with a mild buttery vanillic tone, like almost churned ice cream element with Bulgarian rose and like a couple of dribbles of oud oil. It's like a dude who walks around with an ascot made of silk and shit, with like perfect posture with a broom up his ass like, my shit don't stink.
Who doesn't like me?
That's kind of what I get from this fragrance. It's not overly complicated. It's got very good performance, as most Montals do, and it just smells good for the price too. So if you're looking for an uncomplicated oud that has no fecal aggressiveness to it, Oud Pashmina might be the move for you. Next one. Now a very underrated oud is Oud Aqualia by Oman Luxury. Another oud fragrance that I want to say a little bit goes a long way. This has given me over 14 hours of performance on like 3 sprays. I feel like the Oman Luxury line has a little bit of a PDM energy with a sprinkle of amouage vibe. In this particular case, it has like essences of like a Layton. It has a nice crisp Granny Smith apple, a lot of peppery notes, a beautiful sour grapefruit essence, and amazingly sweet amber. A house with zero hype behind it, has some definite hidden gems in them. And when it comes to fire ouds, this one is not only amazing, but it's the best one in the house in my opinion. Next one. I'm sorry, this fragrance is gonna be impossible for you to find. He said they're going to be restocking very soon, but Oud Noir has grown to be incredibly delicious off my nuts. This shit's plum in here has developed into one of the best oud plum combination fragrances I've ever experienced, because it's been pretty much the only oud plum, but it's so good.
I am God.
Bro, a cocktailish, spicy, cinnamony plum just macerated in a mortar and pestle, sprinkled with a little bit of a cognac essence in this joint with like a cherry liqueur, mash and muddled this beast up, drops of oud all over this piece, and said, spray me gorgeous. I like 11 hours of performance at least on this joint. I've worn this 3 times so far in this bitter ass cold weather, and each time it gets better and better. There is no linear quality in this fragrance, and every time I discover something new in this gem. Oud Plum. Come on, how am I not gonna like this one? Next one. Now this fragrance is for the hype beasts that love a label, Creed Royal Oud. One of the best creeds in my opinion. This is a pure masculine Scotsman, a dude with an accent. He doesn't get a tight fade or nothing like that. He keeps it a nice little 2 or maybe even a 3 cleaned up, put some actual grease in his hair like oils, slick that shit back, talks with an accent, potentially walks around with like a smoking pipe and says, "Elementary, my dear Watson." Profiling. But in all honesty, this is an incredible fragrance. The pepper vibes in this joint matched with the oud's energy is killer, bro. It's pepper, pepper, pepper oud. It's a beautiful fragrance. I'm not gonna hold you, man. There's no way you're not gonna get a compliment out of this joint. And if you're gonna go for something like a Creed brand, hopefully they didn't reformulate and destroy this gorgeous piece. But if you're gonna go for Creed, Royal Oud is something you need. Next one. The Illuminati of Oud. Oud for greatness. If a fragrance isn't cloned, duped, copied, inspires a bunch of other fragrances or brands or whatever to make something that smells just like it, it ain't good. Imitation is the biggest form of flattering, and Lattafa has copied the shit out of this scent profile. Very well, may I add, but something about the original has a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up, which is different. This is gorgeous, sweet, bright, energetic. It opens up with a beautiful blast of oud, but matching its same energy is that fresh, soapy lavender vibe. Then you got your citrus element, then you got your little spice saffron. This fragrance is ridiculously good. It is very, very sexy, and it's more versatile than a lot of other oud fragrances can be. This is not a fragrance that you solely have to wear the latter part of the year when it's brick. This has a little bit of versatility, and again, that soapy freshness of that lavender essence with those citrus components adds an element of versatility to this scent profile. This shit is delicious, bro. If you haven't tried this joint, y'all slacking, or just get the clone. Next one. 4 times max I've worn this fragrance, because again, this cannot be pulled off in anything other than blistering cold weather. And honestly, this is another one that lives in that 2 sprays, I'm Gucci. I'm actually wearing it right now, and it's a little bit much. But with mixes of Laotian oud, Cambodian oud, ambergris, olabdanum, the shit is dripping with money, and this is is Masque Milano's Mandala Oud. I don't even know why I'm opening the cap. It's a lot going on, but it still doesn't smell like ass or a barn or a cowboy's boot. This shit is a whole vibe, fam. There's also a little bit of a menthol green energy that comes off the skin with this fragrance that's super sexy. You can almost pinpoint the varieties of oud in here. It's not just linear, woody, danky, wet, fecal. There's different levels. Now, I don't personally, I'm not a fragrance expert by any means or any stretch of the word, but if you smelled enough fragrances and have smelled different types of oud, you can see that there are some pretty noticeable differences in these resinous kind of notes. And in this particular case, I do pick up like different oudy funks, which makes it very interesting. Out of all these Masque Milano Oud lineups, this one becomes one of the ones that are like, I get it. Not for the price, but I get it. But let's be clear, when you're using the words oud and cheap should not be in the same sentence. It's liquid gold. When the hell you found gold cheap unless it's plated? Next one. This is a funky, ballsy oud with a nice little pipe tobacco essence. We're talking about Kayali's Oudgasm Tobacco Oud, Mandarin Vanilla Oud, and of course, tobacco. I think what it forgets to mention in here is there's a lot of cinnamon essence in here, as well as a saffron element. Now, it's not listed in the notes, but when it really dries down, the note that is listed that absolutely comes out is this raw, organic-y honey stickiness. I've only gotten one full wear off of this fragrance, and it's been instant. Like, I don't need to wear something 48 times to know if I like this shit or I don't like this shit. And I don't just like this shit, I really like this joint. I think 𝐾𝐈𝐍𝐊𝐒 did a glorious job with this fragrance, and it's not the only oud in their lineup, but this one is the more dynamic one, at least in my opinion. And next, we're gonna be talking about the popular ouds, MFK's Oud Satin Mood. This is a very simple, descriptive fragrance. There's nothing else that pops into my head other than a dim lit room. Ultra romantic silk sheets, silk pillowcases, red rose petals covering the entire bed, floor, ambiance, there's candles lit, and there's gonna be a lot of going on.
Let's have sex on all the clean folded laundry.
Silky Rose Oud is the best way for me to describe this fragrance. It is very romantic, erotic, intimate. It is the Spice Channel. It is Playboy when Playboy was a thing. It was the fixed box that you had to hit the little red button in the back so the channel wouldn't start being so staticky so you could at least see a nipple. If you're talking about a wearable oud with intimacy elements, there's no way that you will not mention Oud Satin Mood. That has to be in the conversation. If not, you just ain't getting no butt. Finally, an oud fragrance that I was introduced to this year, or well, later last year, and I found the house to be absolutely amazing, and a very wearable oud that's actually very playful and fun, and that's Oud Hypnotic by Mibitsu, or maybe Swap, whatever. I gotta spray this joint. I feel like this one starts off rose, oud, vanilla, rose, grass, oud, patchouli, slight incense, and like hints of clove. Woody, dank, dark, fresh, interesting, and pretty dynamic. A sexy interpretation of oud by this house. Not my absolute favorite oud in the game, but also in that space of a great entry point that isn't necessarily novice, but maybe 2 steps ahead of it. You're not a freshman, you're a sophomore going on to your junior year. But this one is sexy as shit. So I've given you 11 oud fragrances that won't make you smell like a cowboy in the middle of Montana avoiding taxes. I don't want to toot my own horn, but that was a hell of a oud list of different fragrances that you can go out and sample and see if some of these oud fragrances align with the delicious sensation that I get off of my skin. Oud, sexy again, not something that you hear side by side, but when it's done right, it's done right. I love y'all mother suckers from the heart. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and feel free to let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite sexy oud fragrance, and maybe I'll go ahead and cop it and feature it in another video. I'll see y'all snitches next time. You know who it is, biggest in the game. Smooches.
Don't play. Hey, for all the chicks that got dead in the penthouse suite on top of my mom's crib. It's nonsense you never get in. It's nonsense that you would think that you would.